I'll do that. I'm such a hypocrite saying that because if my grandmother was here, it's like, Granny, can you buy me? Let's use your discount card.
Yeah, see, that's the hard part because we've all taken advantage of it one way or the other.
The Flip Side with Jay and Noel.
If I'm not mistaken, this is only for one store. I'm curious about what you think about this because we were talking about tipping here in the Philippines and that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So not to complain about Starbucks specifically, like in general for restaurants, I think there's seniors. So there's a 20%. There's I think a 20% discount for seniors here in the Philippines. You're aware of that, right? Do you guys have anything like that going on there?
20%?
I think so.
That's huge.
Ah, she's sleeping. Basta there's a discount for seniors, right? And naturally, some of us are taking advantage of that in the sense that I'm a senior citizen. I'll order something for myself, and then my inaanak wants something or my kid wants something. I'll get something for the senior using my card. So it's
Oh,
not actually going to. So that kind of, I guess, blew out of proportion. And one of the Starbucks stores probably decided to say they came up with a sign saying like for senior citizens, you guys are allowed to order only get one when you guys purchase. Okay, probably butchering the way that it's being said, but
where was that?
somewhere here in Manila. I can't really say which exact
Really?
store, but the whole idea is, I guess that's the problem that they were trying to mitigate. Is the whole idea that some senior citizens are taking advantage of the fact that they actually have this card. They get a discount, pretty big discount, and instead of just paying for themselves, they're paying for the whole barangay or the whole family. Now, I wanted to hear what
Right.
your take was on that. Initially, just from that, what are you thinking? We don't really have a lot of time. We can continue this on the next episode. But at the bottom line, before I hear what you say, at the end of the day, they apologized. They said, "Oops, sounds like we made a mistake, and we'll fix that." But I'll leave it at that first. Let you say something.
It sucks, to be honest with you. Here, that's something that's being frowned upon extremely, where senior citizens get special treatments and whatnot. They're not frowning about that. They're frowning about some senior citizens taking advantage of the situation and their perks, basically. Um,
Hmm.
is that something that's being monitored or whatnot here? Yes, a lot of, like, for example, if you go to a restaurant, they got this thing called early bird special or senior citizens rates, and
Hmm.
if it's me and five people and three of us are senior citizens, for example, they know to charge us senior rates automatically. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or most of the time, there's like a card that's being used. I don't know. But am I surprised at something like that happening in the Philippines? Unfortunately, I'm not. Because experience wise, I've heard and seen too many Filipinos take advantage of certain things,
Yeah.
you know, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But for Starbucks to have to apologize for that, I think they just did it wrong. They could have just said, you know what, you need to have your card or whatnot available as soon as you order, as opposed to saying
Hmm.
limit yourself. You know what I mean? It could have they could have handled it differently
Yeah.
and instead of
That's,
wording it that way.
ako naman, sabihin na natin, sige, there's like a loophole in the law or there's
Oh,
a loophole in the terms and conditions of the card or whatever. But at the same
right.
time, it's like, um, this is where this is a question, not a statement. But like, where do you really draw the line, diba? Like between your privileges and then like extending it to someone else. Because I can also argue and say that I'm buying it. I'm using my card to buy it, and
Right.
then I'm giving it to my inaanak or my friend
Right.
that's not a senior citizen. Does that make am I breaking the law because I'm still buying it off of my card?
Preferably do something like that, but don't eat it on location. Take it to go or something, or go out.
I think this is where the technical part is. It's for their personal use.
Right.
So if I'm going to buy something and I'm going to give it to somebody else, then that's not my personal use.
Right. It's the same to say for employee discount. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's the
mm,
same way. How do you really monitor that? How do you police that, so to speak?
oh,
Maybe it boils down to just individual person. You know.
But I think
Um,
it's one of those things na just because you can do it, kumbaga, I don't know if the word is delicadeza, pero it's, di ba, parang mahiya ka naman. But
mm,
at the same time, like, who am I to say? I'll do that. I'm such a hypocrite saying that because if my grandmother was here, it's like, Granny, can you buy me? Let's use your discount card.
yeah. See, that's the hard part because we've all taken advantage of it one way or the other.
Mm.
Does it make it right? No. Does it make it wrong? Not necessarily. So
Well,
where's the gray
I,
line there? I mean, I
I
think you've said
remember
that yourselves.
I remember arguing with Tin about this though. It's like, how was the apology like? Because I remember I was reading like somewhere down at the bottom of this article that I was looking at. I'm not sure if this is here that the lawmaker was saying something like it's not enough. The apology is not enough. Here, Albay Representative Joey Salceda, chair of the House Committee on the called on Starbucks to not only own up to their mistake but also consider doing a one free drink and so kumbaga wag ka lang mag-sorry. You give like a
No.
free room or a free
No.
croissant.
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's where just greed comes into effect. Why? Why? In this
It says,
particular case, it's not called for anymore. An apology is enough in this particular case.
look what it says. Sorry is not enough. You know that Filipinos are just forgiving, but what I want from you is an exemplary action from you that shows you are really repentant over what you did.
That's stupid.
Like
Then you should ask the same thing of people to not take advantage of the system. I'm sorry.
yeah.
You know, you can't ask for something like that because that's just one sided right there. Then you got to ask those people and reprimand that person for taking advantage of certain situations as well.
Oh, here, let's wrap it up with this one. This is also kasi what they're trying to you know, address is that people are abusing this
Yeah.
privilege. It's for
Right.
senior
Exactly.
citizens.
Right.
And just to note here, under RA 9994, any person who refuses to honor the senior citizen card may suffer. So there's a penalty, blah blah blah. But I think there's also a penalty, if I'm not mistaken, if it's mentioned here in the that if you take advantage of the senior citizen card, the opposite of that, and you are not a senior citizen. I can't help but think of parking spots here in the Philippines,
Right.
not senior citizen, not PWD, but people just want to park there because
Right. Right.
anyway. But
If you look at
you know,
the
it,
two
there,
paragraphs down, any person found to have abused such privilege may be
mm,
imprisoned for as long as 6 months and a fine up to 100,000 pesos. That's a bit
that's the thing.
excessive.
So there is actually a law already, preventing both sides from taking advantage, but
Right.
it's about like, do we actually take advantage of that law, or I mean, do we actually enforce that law?
Hmm. I
Diba?
mean, there's no way to enforce something like yes, you can have something like that, but that's like saying, okay, follow the traffic rules. Really? How many people really follow the traffic rules? There's so many people that break it. Are they being policed? No. Fix
Mm.
that issue first before this. I think that's a bigger issue than this. You know what I mean? It's a
And I
bit too
think we'll
much.
wrap it up there.
Yeah, it's a bit excessive, a bit too much. I think that Starbucks issuing an apology like that is enough for the whoever that representative they're asking for a free drink and a free really you got to reprimand
Mm.
it and have them lose that business. That's gonna come out from that franchise's pocket and business. You know.
So they get 20% off already. So that's 20% no earnings, and you give a free croissant.
Yeah, and a free coffee.
No,
Come
but
on.
no, but in fairness, back when my parents were working in the airline, if the airline is if the flight is canceled or delayed, or
Hmm.
there's something going on that screws up your entire schedule. I don't know if they still do it now, but back in the days, they'll book you they'll book the entire flight, a whole
Correct.
hotel.
Yeah, that still happens up to now. It all depends. Not every place does that, to be honest with you, but it still happens. Now, that particular case, it's understandable because they're not booking all these hotels for everybody else. It's literally for the passengers of that flight only.
Mm-mm.
Now, if this representative is asking to give a free coffee and croissant to whoever it was affected, then yeah, that's fine. But it sounds like everybody else for a certain period of time. That's a lot of loss. That's too much. You know.
Yeah, yun nga. So we take advantage, but what comes to mind, and I'll end it my point with this, is like, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Yun lang.
yun lang.
Catch us on the next episode, Wednesday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Philippines. This is the Flip Side.